What's going on, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. I'm Coach Black, your internet relationship and breakup coach. Today's topic: this is exactly what happens when your ex is starting to want you back. Now, this video is for the people who are a little bit confused. Maybe your ex is doing or saying certain things and you're not 100% sure if it has anything to do with you, or if they're just living their life. Are they actually coming back, or is this all just in your head? Are you assuming things? Because, as you know, no contact is very difficult. A lot of times you're not getting any direct feedback from your ex, so it can make a lot of the signs confusing. So I want to give you 3 tangible things that you can be looking for to let you know that your ex is probably moving in the right direction. See, I'm going to start this video with an example of a client success story. And this guy was in a relationship with his ex-girlfriend about 1.5 years. And about 3 or 4 months ago, he started to notice her behavior had changed. She was not as communicative as she was before. She was distancing herself, wanting to spend more time hanging out with her friends and partying. And every time he would try to get together, there was always some excuse. Now, it wasn't that they never saw each other in the last 3 months. They did, but it was always few and far between, and he was doing most of the work. Now, obviously, he noticed that disconnect, and like most people do, he was trying to fix it. So that led to him doing even more and more calling and more texting, thinking that maybe he just needs to go above and beyond. So it was roses and letters and sweet good morning texts and all these things. But no matter what he did, he couldn't seem to get through to her, and he just ended up getting more and more frustrated. Well, with all of that tension because of the disconnect, she's pulling in one direction away from him, and he's trying to chase. Because of all that friction, it led to her saying, hey, I just need to work on myself. I just need time. I need space. There's so much going on. I mean, you know the classics if you've dealt with that in your own personal situation. So of course he was confused. Like, why doesn't she want to work on the relationship? Now, he's an understanding guy, super successful too. And he's like, okay, well, I understand you need time. Just know I am here for you, regardless of what you're going through. So they broke up, I'd say, about 2 months ago. And, you know, he's checking in every couple of days. Hey, hoping you're having an amazing day. Texting her, telling her, hey, I love you. And she would reciprocate. She would say, I love you too. But again, anytime he would go to, hey, let's just go to dinner. Let's spend time together. She was distant. I just need time. Like, trust me, I will always love you. I am still here, but I just need time to work on myself. See, I want you to understand this one thing before we get into the signs, is that the mouth can lie, but the body never does. There's a reason why they say 85% of communication is nonverbal. And so what I've seen from a lot of my clients that I work with and I talk to is that people are hyper-focused on the words that your ex may say, either leading into the breakup or after, because some people don't go into no contact right away, so they're maintaining conversation. And a lot of times your ex will tell you some of the sweetest, most promising things that sometimes make you feel good, because they tell you how much they love you and how much they care and how much of a catch you are. But you'll notice that their actions never seem to match that, because first, if you were the best thing since sliced bread, why did they leave? And if they care about you so much, if they love you so much, why is it that every time that you ask to see them, it's an excuse? And that was the pattern that this client of mine was going through until he found my videos and he decided to book a call. And so we start talking about the situation, and I'm telling him, well, she has lost attraction to you, especially because you started to over pursue her. You're chasing, you're not giving her space. And even now, after the breakup where she's telling you she needs space, you're still there. How can she miss you if you never leave? I say this time and time again, scarcity creates value. If your ex is leaving, they are taking you for granted, as difficult as that might be to accept. So we start talking about actually implementing and going into no contact. And he's freaked out. He's like, well, do I need to tell? All right, the battery died, but as I was saying, he was freaking out. Do I need to tell her? Do I need to let her know so she's not upset with me? If I do this, she will be hurt. You know, I want to show her that I'm her support system. And I'm telling him, trust me, do not focus on the words. If she cared and she missed you enough, she will message you. So reluctantly, he's like, okay, coach, I'm going to trust you. Again, very reluctant. I'm going to trust you. I'm going to go no contact. And so he starts the process about a month ago, finally. So he's not saying anything. He's not calling. He's not texting her, which again is not their typical routine. But at first, there's nothing. She's not calling or texting either. She probably noticed there was a change in behavior, but initially she didn't seem to care. Now, this is the scary part for most people. See, a lot of times when you start no contact for the first time, you're going to be in a lot of fear, a lot of anxiety, because you're probably thinking, what if this makes our situation worse? What if this pushes my ex away permanently? You know, what if she's an avoidant and I just need to be there to show her that I will never leave? All of these thoughts are going to be going through your brain, but I promise you, the best thing that you can do if they're leaving you is to go no contact. And so in the midst of all that fear, he's checking in with me from time to time. You know, it's not working. Maybe I just need to call her and apologize. And I'm telling him, stay the course. This is what's unique about no contact. And it's kind of scary, but it's, even though no contact is working, you as the person that's doing it, you can't see the impact that it's having on your ex. But does that mean it's not working? I've given the example on this channel about the Chinese bamboo tree that after being planted does not break ground for 5 years. And so you have to water the plant, you have to nurture it, right? Make sure there's access to sunlight. And you're putting in all of these efforts day and day by day, but you don't see any results initially. And then after the 5th year, it breaks ground and grows multiple feet in one day. And so the question is, did all the growth happen in the day that it finally broke ground? Or has all the growth been going on beneath the surface, but you just didn't see it? This is exactly what's happening in the mind of your ex. And trust me, if they're the ones that left, there's going to be initially some resistance. Okay, one thing about human beings is that we like to be congruent. We like to be consistent with our decisions. And so if someone says, I am a hard worker, you'll notice that they tend to behave and do things a certain way to be aligned with how we see ourselves to be. And so the same thing goes for someone that dumps you, right? They made a choice, they made a decision. And a lot of times there will be some friction, there will be some resistance to coming back to you, but it doesn't mean that the work isn't going on beneath the surface. It also reminds me of the saying, and I'm sure you've probably heard this before, right? If a tree falls down in the forest and no one's there to hear it, did it make a sound? All right. And the obvious answer is, I mean, if it fell down, it definitely made a sound. But just because you are not there when your ex is asking themselves the questions, maybe talking to their friends and wondering why you're silent, does not mean that no contact is not working. And as challenging as it might be, as frustrated as you might be, it's your job and duty to hold on. And so my client continues no contact reluctantly. And about 3 weeks into his no contact process, he noticed that she unfollowed him. Now he's freaking out. I told you this was not going to work. I think they also had one of these apps where you can track each other running and things like that. Next thing, she unfollowed him there as well. So this is the first sign when I talk about the signs that your ex is starting to want you. When you're starting to see a lot of social media activity that's tied to you and your ex directly, like them unfollowing you or blocking you, things like that are very, indicative that your ex is trying to get your attention. Now, you should not react to this. Trust me. Okay, so I'll get people to say, oh, my ex unblocked me. Is it time to send a message? No, do nothing. But this is a clear sign that your ex is doing things to see if you react. And that's a telltale sign that they're on their way back. It's kind of like, if you never heard of what's called inertia, which means that a body that is at rest is going to want to stay that way. All right, this is, some physics for you. Right? A body that's at rest is going to want to stay that way, and a body in motion is going to want to stay that way unless an external force is applied. So if a car is moving this way, it's going to tend to want to continue in that direction. And you have to apply a considerable amount of force to change the direction. So when your ex starts doing things, understand that there's energy behind that. And in life, everything is energy. There's energy pushing them towards you. And all you have to do is allow that energy and momentum continue to grow. So the second thing that happened specific to this client I'm talking about, but might be happening in your situation, was that the ex started to post, subtle things like she was on dates with other men. Now, this was probably the straw that broke the camel's back. There was an extreme amount of anxiety. See, she's moving on. She's dating someone else, right? When they post the picture at a restaurant and you see there's 2 glasses or 2 sets of silverware, but you don't see any faces. This is energy. Because if you think about it, your ex has probably dated other people before, right? And I'm sure you have as well. So the question is, how often do we go on 1 date with someone or 2 dates and we're so quick to start to share them on social media? Most of us don't. And so if your ex is going out of their way to show them dating someone else or the possibility that they're dating someone else, this is likely a cry for attention. Sign number 3, this is perhaps the biggest and most important one. I'm going to call this one the high interest test. And this came from my client right around the 4-week mark. Okay, the high interest test is basically when your ex finally reaches out to you directly. But it's not even just a subtle, hey, how are you doing? A lot of times that does happen. Okay, that's a clear sign. Hey, how are you? This was a direct, hey, I want to see you tonight at 9 p.m. And she was texting him this maybe 2 hours before, and he's reaching out to me. He's excited, like finally she wants to see me and this and that. And I told him, do not accept that meeting. Now you might be thinking, oh, coach, like this is what I've been waiting for. This is what we've been working towards with no contact. And that was exactly what he was thinking as well. But remember, until you're back together, you are not together. And if your ex left you, you have to allow them to earn you back. Do not make it so easy or you will regret it. I can't tell you how many people I've seen that attract their ex back. They get the first message or 2 messages, maybe 1 meetup, and then the ex disappears again. I told him it is too last minute. She's expecting you to drop everything that you're doing just to see her. All right. Even though she's been distant from you, she dumped you, she doesn't want to be in a relationship. Do not accept that meeting. Again, it was a tough thing for him, but he agreed. He scheduled a meeting later on in the week. She was excited. She's like, okay, great. I can't wait to see you. And fast forward, long story short, they go on the meeting and it's positive. And now she's saying, I miss you. I love you. I want to work on things. I want to get back together. When just a month ago, all of her language was, I care, but we can't do this now. I have to work on myself. I need more time, maybe in a few months, all of these things. So even though she was saying nice things, her actions finally caught up to her words. Now she actually agreed to meet him at a place of his choosing. And when she was there, she was begging to be back in a relationship. Now, obviously, he knew because we prepped for that meeting, hey, You have to take it slow. Do not get back into a relationship so quickly. You have to work on things slowly and steadily before you get back together. So these are some of the signs that your ex is moving in the right direction. The mistake people make is that they get one sign and then they just do all the work. You start chasing, you start begging your ex. Maybe you get the high interest text. I want to see you. I miss you. And then you immediately go all the way and tell your ex how crazy you are about them, how you want to get back together. These are mistakes. Unless your ex is consistently telling you those things over a long period of time, multiple weeks, and their actions are backing it, meaning they're telling you how much they love you, but they're investing time to see you. They're going on dates. Maybe you get to a point where you're like, let's go to therapy. They're agreeing to go to therapy. This is how you know that, okay, this is for real, and I can take larger and larger steps to reconcile and get back into a relationship. If you are in a rush, if you are trying to force things, you will notice that you'll never be able to keep your ex's attention for a long time. So again, it's very important that you do not get this wrong. Anyway, if you haven't already, make sure you like this video right now. I truly appreciate it. It means a lot. It costs you nothing, but it really does help the channel. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And if you want to talk to me about your situation, click the first link in description and I can coach you through anything that you might be going through. If you have any questions about what your ex is doing, what they're saying, let's talk about it. Click the link in description. Again, like the video if you haven't. Comment down below. Let me know your thoughts on what you're going through, and I'll catch you in the next video. Peace.